Now, on last Monday's Today programme, two basic laws of nature were rocked on their axes. First, eminent biologist Professor Brian Ford produced evidence that single cells can actually think. And second, and prepare yourself for this, James Naughtie was actually lost for words at the thought. Here is that momentous encounter.
I am very concerned that we have so retreated into things like molecular biology and genetics that we no longer ever stop to look at what entire cells do. It's almost as though in music you were putting the notes on a score under the microscope without ever hearing the symphony. If you culture brain cells in the lab and you pick up the electrical signals that they make a most irritating buzzing sound at about 40 hertz.
This is the first of a neuron spike, isn't it?
Yes.
Let's just hear it now.
Right. Oh, ghastly.
Now, what was it doing?
Well, what the cells are doing is sending out little impulses. And we always believe, everybody knows this, that nerve cells are just transistors. They're a go or no-go gate, an on or off switch, a little binary code generating system, like a tiny transistor. Now, my view is that if amoebae are clever enough to build homes for themselves, it doesn't make sense that a neuron is only sending out no or no-go signals, on or off switch signals. So what I did was to take these standard spike recordings and to stretch them out from, you just heard about half a second to say 20 seconds. And at that level, you can actually hear what is going on inside each spike. Each spike is more or less the frequency of the human voice. And so for the very first time, you can actually hear the utterances that one nerve cell is making to another. And this rather haunting sound is almost like, I think, seabirds on a cliff talking to each other.
Let's hear it. So what's going on?
Well, we always tend to teach these days that thought and data processing in the brain goes on at the synapses, the junctions between brain cells. I don't believe that. I believe that thought is going on within the nerve cells. The nerve cell is the most highly evolved cell that we know, and it cannot just be switching on or off like a transistor. I don't see us, you see, as bodies divided up into cells. I see us as great communities of independent, almost free-thinking cells that come together to produce the effect that we know of as human life. Well, Jim, you've gone suddenly almost speechless, which I have to say is uncharacteristic for you.
Well, no, I just, after a description of what is the nature of life, it's a question of where you go next, really.
Well, let me help Jim out of his moment of scientific laryngitis by moving on to a programme I know he'll like.